Card number 55 from 1953 Bowman Color, Leo the Lip, Leo DeRocher, signing autographs for the ladies when he was a Brooklyn Dodger, even though that's a New York Giants manager card. So card number 55 must mean it's session number 55 of Card Room Live. This is not a show. This is a hangout for fellow vintage collectors. Sometimes we have guests. Hopefully we'll have some guests today. But most of the time we waste time looking at and talking about cardboard. And through it all, we try to make it time that's well wasted. So happy to be here, guys. Happy Sunday night to all of you. Happy post-national to everybody. If you are watching this live, I hope you'll make yourself known in the chat. Say hello. If you've never been here before, certainly. We seem to have people from YouTube, both YouTubers, but not necessarily just YouTubers, people that just enjoy YouTube. So you all are welcome. We also have folks from Twitter, from Instagram, from other places. So feel free to say hello. You are surrounded by fellow collectors who are good people to know. If you're listening to this later as a recording, you might be going to work, coming home from work, sorting cards, looking at eBay, walking the dog, recovering from the National, sitting on the John. You might be wondering if Bob Lewis will ever make a video again. Whatever you might be doing, I hope you get something out of it. I hope you have a good time. And I hope you leave a comment if anybody ever wants to get in touch or has ideas for future sessions, because Lord knows I need ideas. You can always email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, bowman53_Alex. And if you're on Twitter, I'm 1953 Bowman Color. That was the closest one I could find on Twitter for a handle. You can always find that info, whether it's the email, the Instagram, or the Twitter, located in the description below the video. So all that out of the way, should be a fun show tonight. I really don't know what to expect. I was trying to decide what to do, and it seems pretty natural that we should talk about the National. I didn't go to the National this year, unfortunately. But of course, like everybody else, I've seen all the videos, and I've been trying to keep up as best I can with not just the event, but also everybody's experiences. Everybody's had different experiences and obviously different pickups, and it's been fun to watch. And so I thought, well, it would be kind of cool to maybe talk to some folks that went to the National and see what they thought. I mean, even though people are obviously making their own videos, it might be fun to kind of just talk about it live. We'll see what happens. I reached out to a bunch of people, and I got a mixed result, which I didn't really think about, but it made a lot of sense. I mean, maybe people are exhausted. You know, it's been several days, and they've been staring at thousands of baseball cards and traveling. And I got a couple messages that were basically like, "Look, I just devoted several days to looking at baseball cards. I have to go home and like spend time with my family and like, you know, make good on the promise that I made with my wife, who like sort of allowed me to go to the Nationals. Like, hey, you got to do what you got to do." I totally understand that. Also, I got a couple messages from folks that said that by the time they get home, they're just going to go to sleep because they did not sleep at all while they were at the National. So I can totally relate to that. So a lot of people are wiped out. You know, it's Sunday after the National, so maybe this would have been a better idea like a week from now, but we'll see what happens. A few people mentioned that they might be able to hop on, and maybe some of you guys that are in the chat here are going to be interested. If you went to the National, would love for you to hop on the stream. I'll share the link to the StreamYard here in a moment. So if you did go to the National this year, you are more than welcome to hop in. And it's the kind of thing, guys, where you don't have to feel obligated to stay the whole time. If you just want to hop in, say your piece and peace out, that's fine with me. If you want to stay, you can stay. And honestly, even if you didn't go to the National and you just want to come talk about the National, this year, you're more than welcome to hop on as well. So let me stop talking and take a look at the comments here. So Rick is here. Good to see you, Rick. Reese is here. Good to see you guys. There's Doug. Hello, Doug. Hardball Crazy. Derek's here. Dry Bone 1786. Hello, sir. Mookie's here. There's Dom. Almost picked up the DeRocher item of the show. Hey, it's never a bad idea to pick up Leo the Lip, right? Sitting on the John always makes the cut for what we might be doing. Yeah, I mean, like, in case anybody wasn't aware, that list comes from actual things that people have told me they were doing while they were watching or listening to the show. So if anybody has additional things that they would like to add to that ongoing list, I'm happy to add it. Don is here. My pleasure, my friend. Yeah, Don released a very unique video today about his non-national recap. And all kidding aside, yeah, very sorry to hear about your dog passing, Don. That's always a tough time. But like I said, I'm glad you were there, all things considered, because when something like that happens, you want to be home and around family. Mike, sports history collector. I'm pretty sure if you go on eBay, no, not eBay. I don't think eBay has any videos, but if you go on YouTube, I'm thinking about eBay a lot. I've been on, so that's the thing. I've been on eBay all week, probably trying to balance out the fact that I'm not at the National. So I've been on eBay a lot. If you go on YouTube and just look at your subscription feed, I'm sure there'll be a couple of national videos. Probably, I would bet on that. What's up, Jesse? Jesse hit me up today with a great suggestion. He found a book called Summer in the City, New York Baseball from 1947 to 57. Jesse, I don't know if you already knew about that book or you had it or you just came across it, but I've been looking at it and Jesse sent me a few pictures from it. I think it's a photo book of just photographs from New York City Giants, Yankees, and Dodgers from 47 to 57. I'm definitely going to pick that book up. I see it's on eBay. I haven't checked Amazon. It's probably on Amazon though as well. But I mean, like you said, Jesse, that book's right up my alley. So I really appreciate you calling that book to my attention. Yes. And well, that was the other nice thing about Don's video is that he did a lot of shout outs to people that he's met along the way of having a YouTube channel, which is one of the best parts. Yeah, yes, absolutely, Lou. Yeah, Lou's done a couple of good live streams that I caught a little bit of this week for those of us that were not at the National. So now that that's all over, we can definitely start talking about Cleveland, right? I totally agree. What's up, A's fan Jim? What's going on with the A's? I haven't paid attention. I guess I just kind of assumed that the move was official, but is it official or is there still hope that the A's stay in Oakland? Brad 8671, good evening to you. What's up, Dylan? Sitting in the airport waiting for my next flight. Good luck to you for that, man. I'm sure you're wiped out, but happy to be headed home, I'm sure. Buckeye Collector, what's up? The Card Story, dude. You guys have sorry, just one second. I'm trying to look something up here. Yeah, you guys have a great burgeoning Twitter account. I don't know how long you guys have had Twitter, but I only found it somewhat recently, and I've really been enjoying your tweets about the National. I mean, obviously, most of us are probably getting our news from the National on YouTube, but I follow your Twitter account, and it's been really cool to see you guys and see what the cards that you guys have been picking up, and the fact that you were able to do it with other YouTubers is really cool. Doc Ellis would have had a hard time pitching after the National. What's up, Orlando? Good to see you here. Driving home from the Mets game, Verlander hit or won his 250th game. That's cool. Even though he won it for the Mets, that's great. Good for him. I have a Verlander autographed baseball back here, game used. Definitely an all-timer. Yeah, Orlando. Orlando was like the documentarian of the National, right? Like so many different videos of the different displays and setups, which is cool. Orlando just got home a few hours ago. Cool. I got a card. Don, you know what card I got. I don't have it in hand yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. I shouldn't even be talking about it right now because now I'm just teasing with that I got a card. I did get a card this week though. Card that I'm very excited about, but I'm gonna have to wait because it has to go through that silly authentication thing, which I didn't. I still feel like that should be optional. They just should be able to choose that. But whatever. When it gets in here, you guys will see it. More videos coming. Nice. Alan, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Rick is here. All right. Mitchell's here. Hello from the rising sun. Good to see you, sir. All sorts of good people coming in. Haven't heard much lately, except the stadium renderings were bogus. They hired 2 companies to compete to come up with something legit for the design. Okay. Let's see. Yes. Thank you, Don. There you go. That's the only that's the only confirmation that you'll get. It is a fantastic card. I'm glad you agree, Don. All right. Enough comments here. You guys can keep commenting, but I'm going to go ahead and post the link in the chat. Anybody that was at the National that wants to come talk can come talk. Anybody that wasn't at the National that wants to come talk, you're welcome to come talk too. Hey, we're all collectors here. It's not about whether or not you went to the 2023 National. It's all good. So we'll see who wants to hop in and chat. Yes, don't forget to Shohei Ohtani strike the like button, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's always cool during the week of the National to see what's going on. And one of my favorite things is the photos, like the group photo, which happens every year. I know it's kind of tricky because not everybody's necessarily there at the time that they take the picture. So like some people may have had to leave early or they didn't arrive yet or whatever. So it's kind of opportunistic, but it's always cool to see that group photo with everybody together. Yeah, didn't I see most of you yesterday? Exactly. Mitchell, what's going on, man?
Evening, Alex. Hello, everyone.
How are you? Doing good?
I'm great. Yeah, just got back from the airport, dropping off my nephew who was with me this weekend. So he enjoyed the show a lot.
I'm sorry, did you say your nephew?
Yeah, my nephew was with me.
Nice. Yes, I saw. So first of all, I want to say that I saw your video. Really, really well done. Clearly you thought about it before going in. I guess did your nephew shoot for you?
He did. Yeah, he's actually studying film, so this was right up his alley.
That's great.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he had a lot of fun doing it, and then I actually didn't see it until he finished it and posted it. So.
Oh wow! So he cut it.
Yeah, it was a complete surprise. So I really enjoyed it.
That's really fun. That's great. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you
it's
for
like not just making the video, but like turning it into some kind of an activity for your nephew. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I saw your video. Really cool. Well done. So I definitely recommend, if you guys don't follow Mitchell, the channel is White Sox Fan Card Collector. You should definitely subscribe and watch the latest video that he did on the National. Really well worth it. I loved the part where you were flipping through 53 Bowmans, and that was a crazy stack because there was all kinds of like scrawls, like kids writing the name of the
Yep.
team on it and like notes and stuff.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's fun when you get to go through the cards that are ungraded, that were like totally in kids' collections, and you can tell where they've
right.
written their names on them. They put mustaches on people's faces. That stuff
Yes,
is just like
yes, yes.
priceless.
That's right. I remember there
As
there
long
was
as it's not
definitely
a
a
Mickey
mustache.
Mantle or people like that. But
Right. No, that was great. But you and it looked like you found a handful of pretty decent ones in there.
yeah, I walked away I think with about 20. I think I needed all in all towards the set I'm trying to work on. For those that don't know me or know that I'm working on that set, I actually have like 5 different sets that I'm working on. And that's one of them. So I was pretty happy to get halfway there. Yeah, so that was a good mark this weekend to get there for that one.
Right. Okay, so I mean, this is in your neck of the woods, is Chicago. So this wasn't like a
Hmm.
huge trip for you, right?
Yep,
Um,
20-minute drive. I actually spent more time trying to get a parking space the first day I went than I did actually driving up and down. That was the first time I've ever seen going to the National where the getting off the expressway, the traffic backed up from the exit all the way onto the expressway for the National. It was unreal. We
Hmm.
went there on Thursday morning.
And so how many have you been to before?
Uh, s- 3 in the last 5 years or so. But I
Okay.
did go as a youth too when I was in Chicago at some point. I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 89 because I think I have a promo for 89 Upper Deck that they handed out to us and I still have it. So it must have been then. But I feel like I also went like maybe a year or two later. I remember buying like 91 Stadium Club cards because those are like so cool. They had just come out that year. So maybe I've done 5. I don't know. Yeah, that gap.
Right. Okay, so not to like steal thunder from your video, so people should definitely go see that. But like, just what are your like basic takeaways from this one?
Well, I think it's been covered by a lot of people too. Just the sheer size was unlike anything that had been seen previously in Chicago. Because for those of you who haven't gone to the Rosemont Convention Center, yes, the Rosemont Convention Center is what we call it here in Chicago. So sorry for anybody that takes offense to that. It's actually the entire first floor. So its first floor is broken up into like 3 different showrooms that you can have an exhibition in, and they took up all the space. They had you get into the show going through the second floor, which was interesting, kind of having to go through that madhouse on Thursday morning where people are trying to push past people to get down the escalator into the showroom, which you thought they were trying to get, front row uh, tickets to go see like Beyonce or something like that.
Right.
How excited people were to try and get in there and how much people were pushing around to do it.
Yeah.
It was uh, kind of weird to watch that type of aggression, if you kind of will, to get into the show. I don't know what other word would describe it.
Yeah.
So that was like just the sheer size really kind of was amazing as I kind of went to the show. Was the one thing that kind of like really still hits me to this point. And then like as the more I think about it, it's just like the corporate influence was so much more noticeable than I think in previous shows too. They had taken up so much of the showroom floor with
Hmm.
their various booths for the auctions, grading companies, Tops themselves, Fanatics. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
and it's
I
certainly they
went.
were always there, but they had huge,
Yeah.
huge areas.
I mean, I've only been to one, and I went in 2019, and I definitely remember seeing eBay and Tops. You mentioned SGC, PSA, and the auction places. Um, and I always felt like it's like, okay, I understand why they're here. It makes sense, but it also felt like they were taking up a lot of space, and I wondered at the time, did they really need that much space? So, but you're saying even more so now.
Yeah, I think the ones that really kind of stuck to me was some of the big auction houses, and God bless the auction houses. And they had some museum pieces available there, and I think they definitely, wanted to be able to garner interest by having all that stuff out to be seen. But man, they took up space there. I think you could have fit in tons more dealers if they were just agreed to be a little bit smaller. But on the bright side, that was a place you kind of went to when you needed to kind of get away from the people
Yeah,
because there
yeah,
was room to walk around in those sections. So
right.
there was that. And air conditioning seemed to be a little bit better in those areas. So
Okay. Well, isn't that interesting?
that was a major complaint I heard throughout the weekend for the most part. But
Right.
And I think it was just too big of a space for them to be able to cool down with the numbers of people that were there personally. But
Right. Right.
maybe I'm being kind to my fellow Chicagoans that were organizing it. Go ahead
Sure.
and rip them if
I
you
mean,
need
it's.
to.
I guess it's a good problem to have. I mean, it's doing well, and they're. I'm sure they're all talking about it and trying to figure out how to address it for next time. Have you ever been to the Cleveland show?
No,
Okay.
no,
All
I've only
right.
driven through Cleveland. I've actually never been there.
Right. No, me neither. So I'll be curious to check that out. Um, okay. So just from like walking around and checking out the tables and so on, did you like what was your impression of the type of folks that were there? Was it kind of a bit of everything, or did you notice, did a demographic stand out to you or a type of collector stand out to you in terms of like who was there?
Uh, there definitely was the split that you've seen probably in larger regional shows. It really felt like the younger individuals that were, hey, good evening, that were
What's
coming
going
to
on?
the shows were really gravitating towards the modern stuff. And they all tended to have their large Pelican cases full of their cards. That kind of felt like they weren't as attached to them. They were kind of using them as a currency and were trying to get into bigger cards or were trying to walk away with a lot of cash at the show, which is perfectly fine. It's really interesting to see how well the dealers kind of have embraced that demographic and were willing
Yeah.
to kind of make those large cash deals just like that to replenish their inventory. I felt like I saw a lot more of that happening than people actually like purchasing like large cards in front of me. But I know that did happen, but I just that was like really noticeable. Going to some of the booths where they were predominantly modern cards, you had to kind of wait to be able to get to the dealer that to sell cards that you might be looking at in the case because they were making large transactions with somebody. So
Wow.
that was something that really noted. And then you have like your vintage collectors like myself, and they were just immersed in going through the boxes, building their sets, and trying to hone in on certain cards that they would talk to you about if you're like sitting next to them and kind of having a conversation about what you're looking for. So it was kind of split as far as like what you're interested in, and seemed to really kind of go across the age range. So you saw young kids with their parents all the way up to retired adults going around and buying cards for the most part. And I would say that it was a mix of genders too, kind of at the show. So I think that was maybe not the case when I went to Nationals ago in 2019 when I was in Chicago. It feels like it was mostly males at the show. They were kind of
Right.
monitoring things.
That's
It seems
cool.
like it's kind of shifted a lot. So.
Nice. All right. Dom, good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, the National was insane. I kind of second everything Mitch just said.
Yeah. Okay. So let's hear from your perspective. What kind of what surprised you this time compared to previous years?
Well, I had only went last year in Atlantic
Okay.
City, so to me it was definitely different. Just with the layout, like he said, like the size was massive, and Atlantic City was kind of just like a big rectangle. This kind of had like corners and like pathways that you had to navigate around like all the corporate space that was there. And that's kind of what he was saying. If that corporate space wasn't there, I feel like everyone would have just been on top of each other from the sheer attendance. So I'm kind of glad that I broke it up a little bit. So if you were trying to get somewhere else, you could kind of dive through the corporate section and
Yeah.
move
Right.
towards it because the dealer rows were really tight, especially at like the height of the pop times during the show. So it was definitely a lot. They weren't prepared, at least on the preview night for Wednesday to start the show. The VIP
Oh,
lines and the crowds upstairs for general admission with me. It was a mess, unorganized, very low staffed. Like they knew how many tickets they sold, and they still were just kind of slow to start. But once it got moving, it was good.
Right. Um, Curious to hear from
that's fun.
both you guys. Um, uh, what what your experience was like, and this doesn't really have to do necessarily with like this national, but like, or maybe it does because it was so big. But like when you guys went in, like Mitchell, I know you because we had talked about it beforehand. You had some ideas about what cards you were looking for.
Mhm.
Um, but even if you didn't, like Dom, I'm not sure what your situation was, but uh, how how difficult or easy was it for you to kind of stay on track with your original plan? Like, how much did you deviate from it? Mitchell, we can start with you.
Oh, sure. If I didn't stay with my plan, I think I would have gotten completely lost. I've noticed from just like previous times I've gone to the national, when I go in there with like out specific items in mind, my money goes very quick, very early. I kind of hit the first couple tables where I see something that kind of appeals to me, and then I just obviously purchase them, and then I'm asking myself, why did I just spend all this money and money for parking to be here and blow my money in the first 2 hours? So I think having the list for me at least brought some organization into what I was looking for, and allowed me to get through the booths more quickly because I didn't see something that I was looking for. So I just kind of moved on. I think if I hadn't, I probably would feel very overwhelmed,
Yeah,
personally. But I know some people who do it that way, and that's what their preference is going in without a plan.
right. Dom, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I was very like, as the first time national goer last year, I was like, I have to have this plan. I have to have key cards I'm looking for. I need to go to this corner first and work through it so I don't miss anything. This year, I was just completely just going on like the vibes and the traffic of the show, just waiting for like cards and deals to kind of stick out to me. So honestly, the only real goal I had was to make sure that I saw all of it over the time that I was there. And
Mhm.
I didn't see all the cards, all the boxes, et cetera. It's impossible, but I definitely think I walked the entire show floor over the 2.5 days that I went, and got some really cool stuff along the way. So I
Right.
didn't have too much of a plan to deviate from.
Scott's can't stay or pop on. I kind of feel like garbage. Well, I mean, that might be interesting, Scott. You should consider coming on so we can see what that's like. I hope you feel better, man. I think you're not alone. I think there's a lot of other people that are in the same boat with you there. Um,
They're the real heroes. They did like all 5 days. So
right, right,
that's a lot of walking. Yeah.
yeah. No, I definitely Dom remember in 2019, and I hope I get to go again maybe next year. Is trying to just walk the floor and see everything and resist the temptation to jump in too quick and just sort of just enjoy, you know, what's there. And if I did see something that was like an incredible deal and I knew I wanted it, okay, sure, I'll go for it. But just trying to get a sense of what's there and and also run into people. Like, I'm curious, did you guys have any stories? Did you like find yourself randomly running into anybody that you knew, or did anybody recognize you, or like anything like that happen?
I ran into Dylan in the bathroom. That's where we got hooked up there. But obviously we had talked prior to the show at some point, but that was when the first time we met face to face. I was in the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah, with the sheer attendance, it was kind of hard to find like specific people if you couldn't call them. But
Yeah.
you were, just by going into like the vintage sections, you would find the vintage YouTubers eventually. Like at least one of them would be in like the section where a lot of vintage tables are.
Right.
So you would naturally run into a lot of people. But I kept just trying to call people if I was not walking with somebody already. I just would call somebody that, see where they're at, and kind of just go over there in that general direction and kind of walk the floor with somebody else, because it's, if you're looking for someone specific without that, it's
Oh
good
yeah.
luck.
Right. Right. Did you guys speaking of that, did you guys get the opportunity to sort of like walk the floor with somebody else? Because I always thought that was interesting, is like, sure, I notice what I noticed, but it's kind of fun to walk with somebody else and see what they gravitate towards. And also, if they're looking for something
Mhm.
specific, to sort of go with them on that journey and try to figure out, okay, like, what is it that you look for? Because it's not just the card, it's like the condition and the price. And like, everybody has their way of doing that. So, and did that happened to any of you guys?
I had my nephew with me who was looking for some cards for his brothers.
Oh,
So that was
nice.
like kind of sweet of him, kind of like trying to find things to bring home to them. But it was like very specific basketball and football players that he had
Yeah.
been tasked with to be able to try and find things for. So it was kind of fun watching him kind of look around and try to find like the perfect card for like his brothers to be able to bring that home. So he also
Right.
collects Pokemon, so I know nothing about that. So that was kind of fun watching him like do that on Friday afternoon, just find everything for himself. And it felt like a whole nother world to me of like, I don't know what these cards are worth or what's a good thing or not, but he was trying to explain it all to me while he was trying to make the transaction. I'd still feel a little lost. And I had
Right.
my friends on Thursday too. They were there as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was trying to walk the show floor with somebody more often than not. There was a few times that I went off on my own to like find a specific booth or do something I needed to do, but last year I was brand new to the YouTube community, so I didn't have like contact, and I was just introducing myself to everybody. So I only walked the show floor for like very short periods of time last year. So I wanted to make an effort to do that, and it's actually really good because having somebody else with you that's looking for other things, it helps you kind of like pace better while you're like going through the aisles and stuff like that. Like people will like stop more often, and you kind of just have someone to like talk to, bounce off with, have a second set of eyes to look at something because sometimes you get all gooey eyed looking at something and there's a problem you miss and you hand it to someone else and they're like, "Did you see that?" And
Right.
that kind of stuff happened a lot both ways. So it was nice to have friends to walk the floor with for sure.
Right. Right. It's so easy when there's so much to look at to, like you said, um, kind of look through rose-colored glasses, and then you need somebody else who's not quite as endeared to the card as you are. Do you like? Didn't you notice that crease in the corner? Yeah, so that's really helpful. Cool.
I ran into Maiko on Thursday, and I was mentioning I was looking for a specific item, and then I saw him later that night, and he was telling me that there was a few available in an area of the show I hadn't really explored yet. So
Nice.
that helped me like leading into Friday was that little tip, and lo and behold, I finally stumbled upon like what he was talking about and I was able to pick it up. So thank you to Mike, kind of pointing that out for me. So that was
Right.
fun.
I remember when I first walked in 2019. I mean, I hadn't been, and I honestly didn't do any research. I mean, I knew where it was and I showed up pretty much. And I remember pretty quickly, I was with, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, "Oh, we should go to this booth." And they had a number. I was like, "Oh, the booths have numbers?" Like it, like I didn't even realize that at first. It's like, how could you possibly navigate this insane pool of like, of all these tables and chairs and stuff? And yet, yeah, okay, yeah, they definitely have numbers. Okay, that really helped. Like, I was like, okay, somebody thought of that. I'm glad, because otherwise it's impossible to figure out where anybody is. Let's see. Okay, interesting. Compared to Scott, who does the opposite of yapping, right? So I guess they play off each other well. Curious. So Don here says, "Hope you all go to Cleveland. Would love to meet you there." Are you guys planning to go to Cleveland? I know
I
it's kind
haven't
of
thought that
early.
far ahead yet. I know I have a pretty big trip with my wife next late spring, so that might be the part of the hobby budget there. So we'll see
I see.
where we're
Yeah,
at then. So.
fair enough.
Yeah, I'm still riding the high of this one. It's something where if I can make it happen, I'll definitely try to, but I don't know yet.
Right. I think everybody that just went to the National is not thinking about this. It's those of us that didn't go that are like really excited about Cleveland. Um, I'm 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 not going to say 100%, but it's looking good. It's looking good next year that I'll go to Cleveland, which will be great because it's been a few years for me now, pre-COVID. So it'd be great to get back into it. And I've never been to the Cleveland show, so I'm really curious to see how different that is compared to Chicago. Chicago was great, but again, it's from what you guys are saying, this one was packed. And what's your guys' take on how that represents what's going on in the hobby? Is it all good? Is there like a dark side to it? Like, have you guys thought about that at all? Like, is there a downside to how intensely packed it was, not just in terms of the logistics of the show, but like what it means for the hobby in general?
I think the thing that sometimes like I'm uncomfortable with, and I don't know exactly how to like point a finger on it, exactly why I'm uncomfortable with it, but some of the sort of feeling that I'm here to show off how much money I'm going to be able to spend at the show. And, you know, they document it and sometimes you see it later. Just for me, it just kind of sends sort of a vibe that this is all about the money, you know, for certain individuals. And I know that it is. And that's okay too, but it just, there's an uncomfortable feeling for me, yeah, still with it. And I haven't really been able to wrap my brain around it. Maybe it's just because it's a very different way that I approach it. And my brain doesn't operate that way, but you know, like that seems to be something you notice too, because like they even have like cards in display cases in some places with like $100 bills like all sprawn around next to it, sort of kind of really
Really?
reinforcing the message like invest, invest, invest in this item. So
Wow. Yeah.
and we just know it's, you know, it's not a commodity. It's not going to pay you until you sell the thing. So
Right. Right.
or dividend. I'm sorry. Yeah, the moment. So
Yeah, the hobby is definitely alive and well. It's not dying. That was very clear from the national. I see that Brad just said the national announced it was the most attended national ever. They won't give the official number for whatever reason, but I definitely believe that based off what I saw in person. And I think that we're kind of getting in that crossroads where like the economy and the market are starting to come down like together at the same time, and the demand is still strong. So it really was like more of a buyer's national. I saw a lot more people getting high end cards of the show for good prices and good deals all around, and just buying dealers willing to come down on prices. So I think it's kind of like a perfect storm right now.
Mhm.
And I think Fanatics, if anybody can capitalize on the perfect storm of there being this demand right now, it's them with introducing those regional shows that they want to start get going. So the national could get even bigger than it currently is, which is crazy to say after the record crowd of Chicago.
Right. Right. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, like you both said, it's good for the hobby, but there's some questionable stuff. And you know, I think all of us here on YouTube would probably agree with you, Mitchell, that like there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at your baseball cards as investments. I mean, I do. I don't think of them as like the same way that I do about financial investments in other parts of my life. But I am aware of how much I'm putting into these cards, and I hope that they retain some value. But at the same time,
for sure.
I'm not I'm not getting the card based on the value, and I'm not flaunting it because of the monetary value. I'm excited about the card because of what the card represents and the player, the history, the nature of like that's what I'm really interested in. I'm glad it's worth something. I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm not flushing money down the toilet, but I'm really interested in the thing that I think that we all are interested in, which is there's something really fun about what these cards represent and where they come from. And when that's not really part of the story, that's when I think it gets a little sour for me. If it's not really about that and it's only about the money, not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think it makes sense, but I'm not as interested in it, I guess.
They didn't go to any of the baseball games while they were in town. Just kind of curious. I know the Cubs and the Sox were playing the first couple days, and then the White Sox were hosting Cleveland thereafter.
I know a few people went to the White Sox game, but I didn't catch any.
It's such a good idea because I've never been to Wrigley Field, so that's like a good opportunity to do it. But yeah, let's look at a couple of comments here. Stuke says missed meeting a lot of people because I was meeting a lot of people, which is a great way to say it. We had a question up here from Mookie. Any regrets, any missed cards or missed connections? I mean, there's so much going on that I'm sure you can't do everything, but
Yeah, there's always going to be both. Thankfully, my biggest pick of the show was something that I didn't end up missing on, but there were definitely some cards that I thought about. I wrote the booth number and card down and went back, and it was gone.
right.
So sometimes you have to make those decisions on the fly and be able to live with them if you walk away.
Right.
There was one I had looked at that was on my list, but it was an item that wasn't graded when I looked at it. and I was debating whether or not I would go back and get it, and ended up like buying other things. So it was my choice to kind of like walk away from it. But I think in the future, if I'm finding that card and I'm just not finding it, and anyone graded that card and I can only find it ungraded, I'm just going to do it. And I think that was kind of like a conclusion I had after the show today, just because I just don't see it very often.
Right. Yeah.
When I go
If
to
you don't,
shows.
if you don't see it
Yeah.
and you see it, jump on it. Right. Usually is the best case. Nina, I hope I see you in Cleveland next year. Scott will be asking you for advice. I wanted to pull up a comment that Dylan made. Where is it? Dylan said, "I'll go for 2 less days. The travel and being away from my wife is really hard." So, Miss Double D Vintage Baseball Cards, I hope you're watching this because you've got a great husband. He's saying the right things. The other thing I've been thinking about though is that I think a lot of people do this. Like if you've got a significant other, trying to find a way to incorporate that into a trip, and like finding ways like in whether it's Chicago or Cleveland, to like turn it into a trip where you can bring somebody with you. So I'm thinking about doing that. So I'm going to be asking Nina and Scott for like, what are some great things I should be trying to do in Cleveland besides the card show, so that it's more than just baseball cards if possible.
Got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if you go there.
There you go. Good idea. Ray's in here. What's up, Ray? Brad says Cleveland has a better and bigger convention center. The only downfall is you have to drive everywhere. Okay.
Speaking of bigger and better, I wonder, because we actually have 2 big convention centers in Chicago. I'm kind of wondering if in 2 years they're going to move it to the bigger one that's down by the lake. Not as many hotels right by it, and so that's kind of a downside to it, but it's a much larger space. They use it every year to kind of do the Marathon Expo for Chicago, and it's just very efficient, getting 50,000 people in and out of there in 2 days to be able to get all their race bibs and stuff before they do the race. And I could see that being a draw in the future.
What are the reasons that they don't use it now? The hotels, and like, is it also maybe like accessibility for the vendors?
Or probably more expensive to rent too.
Right.
I'm not sure. I don't know what the reason is.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it further from the airport as well?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably
it's just in like the south loop of Chicago. So.
What's up, 4 Leaf Cards? Let's see. Did Brewers Reds Tuesday night and Sox Guardians last night. Awesome.
Oh, good. You got to see my Sox win a game. Doesn't happen very often.
Let's see. There you go. Yeah. Do you need to do like an instructional video, Scott, for the whole community? My wife hopes I leave for 2 weeks. Nice. Let's see. Here's a question from Jesse. Who's going to the Burbank show in a month? I don't know. You West Coasters. The whole other world.
Yeah, since the White Sox got brought up, then
so maybe I'll hit them up one day going to the show there when that's a possibility.
Right. What's your White Sox story, Dom?
I was just saying, since the White Sox got brought up, Mitchell's on here, and it's been 45 minutes, and there's been like no cards. I picked this up in Chicago.
Hey, Nelly.
Yeah, it's
with the chaw.
Yeah, it's a 61 J Publishing pack for the White Sox team.
Great.
And Nelly Fox on the front.
Oh, that's awesome. He's always got that tobacco in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
Required.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any stuff like nearby that you can hold up? Stuff that you picked up?
Yeah, I didn't put it away yet because I thought you might want to.
There you go. Smart. I've got nothing to show here, so it's all on you guys.
I had like 3 things that were kind of bigger items for me that were kind of on my list. I guess I can kind of do those. Throw in my video too, a little more close up, but think this one was a lot of fun to pick up on the first day.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh, nice. I love that set.
I was trying to build the set for this one and down to 5 cards now, but I got like 5 graded cards from the same dealer, which was fantastic. Yeah.
Are you doing them all graded or just the Hall of Famers?
No, I just ended up having had 5 graded, a bunch of graded cards with the Hall of Famer, so I just jumped on it. So
Nice.
the Bob Gibson is pretty spectacular.
Yes.
Yeah. A couple other players, and there's Yastrzemski's probably the other one that had the highest grade. On
Oh,
that
sweet,
set,
my
so.
guy.
Beautiful. Is this all from the same guy?
Yeah, same dealer. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Very cool. Looking forward to meeting everyone at the East Cobb Sports Collectible Show on August 6th. Yeah. Where is that, Carlisle? Is that, I mean, I'm guessing it's somewhere in Georgia. I think I've heard of it. Maybe I'll go to it. I don't know. How much vintage do they have? Do you know? It'd be good to know. Ray's got a question for you guys. How was parking and how was Wi-Fi?
Parking was a bit of a nightmare on the first day if you tried to get in as the show opened. I didn't have a problem when I decided to go a little later on Friday, which actually was the day it was more well attended, but the parking garage is huge over there, so that's not an issue. The Wi-Fi didn't work so well on Friday because there was more people on the network. Kept getting kicked off. On Thursday, I was able to stay on it the whole day. So, I imagine probably similar the rest of the days.
Yeah, I didn't have to park, but the Wi-Fi was 10 times better than Atlantic City last year with way more attendance. So not ideal, but definitely worked better for everybody.
Right.
No,
Parking
White
and
Sox
Wi-Fi
I
was
picked up
good.
was,
AC was dead.
my
Oh, yeah.
Target card. The big one I kind of had
Yes.
in the
Oh,
show
wow.
was the Al Simmons.
Yeah, we talked about that on this stream. So you
Yeah, we talked
delivered,
about Luke
man.
Appling too, and that was the one I actually decided not to pick up. It was the Luke Appling, so I'll get it. I'll get it in the future. I know I'll get it. So
All right, Dylan. Have a great flight. Looking forward to your video.
yeah, take care, Dylan. So
Yeah, Dylan had a hell of
Dylan
a show.
handles jet lag exceptionally well. His energy level was high every day I saw him for the 2 days I was there, and I know that's not an easy flight.
Right. Parking was easy. Parked at Crown Plaza every day for $25. Friday was the most attended day. Makes sense. Did you guys sense over the course of when did you guys get there? What day of the week?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Did you get a sense of I guess what I'm trying to ask is was everything kind of picked over? Were the deals gone, or was there enough out there to satisfy everybody as the week continued?
I think
wasn't
there
there
was
after Friday, so I can't speak
Yeah.
to Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, this might be a time where the weekend wasn't the best for that, because I do feel like by the weekend, some of those tables and the really good deals might have been picked over. But there was so much stuff, and everybody's looking for different things. So
Yeah.
there still was, I think, plenty of inventory for everybody to still have a good time. But I do know that there was plenty of people that got in early in the week. And from Wednesday through Friday when I was there, it was pretty packed the entire time. So everything got looked over at least.
Right.
Yeah, I think that all the items I was looking at, I think maybe the Simmons was the only one I saw where it was that was the only card I saw of him in that
Yeah.
grade at the show. So I think every other card that I picked up, I think I saw other copies at somewhere around there. So I think they lasted probably through the weekend.
Right. So just so everybody knows, we're having a storm here in Savannah, and my girlfriend very, very carefully just dropped this card. You didn't see her come in, but she came in, and this note that says there's lightning coming, power might go out. So just off camera, I have my assistant sort of keeping track on the weather.
Well, that was also something that happened at the National. We had some pretty big rainstorms.
Really? Did they
Yeah.
lose? Did they lose power at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure would have heard about that. Um,
Yeah, Blackout National would have been crazy.
especially with all those people. I will say this: they sell too many VIP passes. At least 40% of the show has badges. Really?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
It looked that way. Yeah. I noticed actually when we got an autograph, my nephew got an autograph while he was at the show, and when we got up to the booth, there was a little sign for one of the athletes who I won't mention. But it, some of the athletes are charging more for their rookie cards to sign on those now. Well, this one in particular was saying his people will determine the value of the card, and then they will tell you something to the effect of like, then they will determine how much you owe to be able to sign the rookie card of that player.
Wow.
I was like, what? Like, it's not standardized? Like, that feels kind of shady, especially if it's a card just going in your personal collection. Like, you're not selling it. Like, I don't know. But that's something I saw for the first time. And I felt it was a little, hope the hobby doesn't go that
I've never heard of that. Wow.
Yeah, they're starting to catch up, and they don't know what you're gonna do with it, but they do know how much value is added to the item by the autograph. So
Right.
they're starting to scale everything that way, and it's definitely making the autograph game even harder. That's why I'm trying to buy stuff that's already certified. Skip the whole process.
Hmm.
Well, Don really wants to know.
Yes.
I'll just say that he changed his name after he was a young player in the league that he played for. So hopefully that kind of narrows
there
it
you
down
go.
for
They can
people.
figure
So. Brad might be close. Just put the comment there. So.
But Dom, to your point, I'm sure many others are already doing the same thing, or if they aren't, they're going to be doing it soon.
No, definitely. And most of them have a separate price for the rookie card now.
Right.
I think it was fine as long as you know that going up front, which still kind of crazy, but for him it was like, it's going to be what we think of your card when you come up to get it signed. Like, this is going to be a $300 signature or a $200 signature based on the grade. Like,
right. Yikes.
Bring that extra cash, I guess.
So, Dom and Mitchell, were either of you able to go to the YouTube get together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there on Thursday.
I'd love to hear you guys.
About an hour. We got really tired.
Yeah. Well, what were your thoughts on it? How did it go from your perspective?
We got there like a little bit before like it kind of started, and was able to run into like people that had been either following me, or I commented on their videos that were local to like where we live in like the western suburbs or northwest suburbs here in Chicago. So we're able to like struck up a good conversation there, and I think we're kind of moving in the direction of trying to like be intentional when we go to shows, of like try and do it together. So I thought that was a lot of fun since we're like all local to the area. And then
nice.
As we're in that conversation, a lot of the other people are starting to filter in, and I was able to kind of go around the room my best to be able to introduce myself to as many people as possible. But then the line just never stopped as far as more people coming in that were filtering in while I was there. Dom, I actually didn't run into you, I don't think, when I was there. So
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I saw you either at the show or at the meetup, but I don't think I got a chance to stop you and talk to you. So I'm kind of glad that you hopped onto this so we could do that.
Yeah.
Likewise.
With the Thursday night meetup, it was the perfect spot, but the bar was downstairs, but we kind of were off in our own space. I think Chris from Missouri said the peak was like 240, 250 people at the Thursday night one.
Wow.
Which was pretty insane. They had pizza there. Everyone was getting drinks, talking cards, sharing pickups. Snoop was having people sign a bat. Mike Canadian Cards was having people sign a full-size custom YouTube helmet. Like, it was just a fantastic one. And then Friday was at a bar, so there was less YouTube space, and all the like extra space was trade night. A bunch of kids and younger people that were just wheeling and dealing. Just all kinds of stuff. So Thursday night was the better venue for the event, but Friday night was definitely more happening.
Right. Gotcha. And we had an appearance from the Grumpy Old Muppets.
Oh yeah, I took a nice
Honestly,
picture with them.
some of the
It's the
best videos I
thumbnail for my
watched for the
video.
weekend were from them.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I remember when I went to it in 2019, just how surreal it was to see all these faces that I had seen so much on YouTube actually be real people. And it's like, wait, I know you, I know you. And it's like, I've never actually seen you in person before, but I feel like I have. Did you guys have any of that happen this time? Because I mean, Dom, you've been to it before, and you've met people before, but were there any like new YouTubers that you can remember this time having not met before this trip?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I got a little socially awkward when I introduced myself to Nate Tops 85401. Because when I first typed in baseball cards on YouTube like 8 years ago, he came up. So I've been watching him for a long time, and it was just like surreal to like actually like meet him, shake his hand, and talk to him for a couple minutes. So that was probably the one that was like the most shocking. For the most part, it was like I was seeing old friends, whether I'd met them at last year's national or I'd never met them before.
Right. That's great.
For me, it was all new people because I wasn't on YouTube the last time I was at the National. So
Sure.
it was cool. You know, even some of the people that I had known on YouTube and communicated with, I'd never met them in person. So that was a lot of fun being able to do that.
Right. That's awesome. I mean, that's so much of the excitement of it, I think, is just getting to see everybody else there. How often are you guys able to go to other shows during the year besides the National? Like on average, how much are you guys going to shows, would you say?
Bigger shows, maybe? I can go to a couple a year. But if I want to go to small local shows, they have them pretty much every weekend in Connecticut. Small local shows.
Same here. So. We have a big regional show that hits us twice a year. So I go to that one. It's in the same place. Doesn't take up as much space, but I go to that one wherever they have it.
Dom, do you want to try to explain the Grumpy Old Muppets? Can that be explained?
It's better off that you just go to John Mangini's channel and experience it for yourself. You definitely are missing out, dry bones.
Yeah, if you're not,
but yeah,
you don't know
awesome.
John Mangini's channel, just type in Mangini collection and you'll see the Grumpy Old Muppets pretty much right away, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, since I'm expecting the power to go out here in a second because it's really getting bad here, we've been going for about an hour or so. This is probably a good place to cut off. Dom and Mitchell, thank you both for jumping on. You both should probably kind of relax before the week begins and take a break from baseball cards. But whoa, Dustin and Blake, what's going on, man? We're just about to finish the show, but good to see you, man.
No, definitely.
Yeah, and hey, this guy stayed around the whole time, despite the fact that he's like probably in the bathroom.
Yeah,
not feeling so well.
He's a trooper, and if you don't mind, before we get out of here, just for the people that stuck around, you mentioned Chaw with Nellie Fox, the picture I showed earlier.
Yes,
I had never seen one of these before, and this was one of my more interesting pickups of the show. So it's
my God.
favorite chewing tobacco 3-ounce pouch with Nellie Fox at the top.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Chewing Tobacco says the cellophane is falling off of it, but the original tobacco is still in the pouch. So it's really cool. On the back is Louis Aparicio and Bill Mazeroski and some minor stars. It's from the early 60s. One hasn't sold at auction since 2021, and I found one at the National for a pretty affordable price.
So you find things like that there you don't see anywhere else. That's cool.
Exactly.
If you weren't planning to do a Nellie Fox run, you are now, right?
I'm definitely gonna have to get some cards where the Chaw is very obvious to display with that.
Everyone
almost all those cards.
Yeah, it isn't hard. Gotta pick a couple.
That's
amazing. 65, I think, is the one where it's super pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you're gonna chew that then on a future show? Is that what we need to tune in for?
I told the seller that I'm not a tobacco guy, so I hope this doesn't start a bad habit. So
doesn't end you up in the hospital. Yeah. All right. Dom, Mitchell, thank you both. Thanks everybody else for jumping in here. Have a great Sunday night. We'll be back next Sunday night. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Bye.